Hello, Narnach here. Welcome back to Path of Exile. In between episodes, I did a little bit of looking at the skills again. And I discovered that Herald of Ash, the fire aura, actually only applies to melee attacks. Which is interesting because Herald of Cold and Herald of Thunder both also apply to spells, and they actually boost the spell damage and attack damage by a bit. So I was not expecting that one to work different from the other two. So I had it on, and basically it was preserving 25% of my mana without doing zip in return. Oh, restorative Tempest. That's nice. That helps me heal my zombies. So I did some interesting creative skill reworking. Instead, now we have a Herald of Ice on here with a cold to fire conversion. So half of the cold damage is converted to fire, which benefits greatly from all the fire damage bonuses that we already get. And on top there is a cold to fire, there's also 10% extra damage that gets added on top as well. So that's could potentially be interesting, and I just tacked on stun because it's free, whatever. So you see in the tooltip the Flame Totem gets a little bit of extra cold damage on top. It's that is going to be overly useful. And while testing out how this actually worked, I found a lesser multiple projectiles support gem. So that's now attached to the Flame Totem, which is basically the first support gem I really want on it, because this way you get a nice area of effect cone attack rather than a single target stream. It does reduce the damage a little bit, but it makes up for it by being able to even better being able to deal with groups. And it burns through rather nicely, even though I'm 6 levels over this area. So the reason in this area rather than heading towards the darkness is that I actually forgot that this side area is no longer useless. It actually gives you a jewel for in the tree, and it's the jewel that gives you 3 mana per second, which, looking at how often my mana bubble is empty, I think this character can do with a little bit of extra mana regeneration. Especially since it's pretty easy to also get some percentage bonuses for mana regeneration. That 3% is probably going to be more like 5 mana per second for in practice. That was something with an aura here. It needs to... Oh wait, of course that was that thing. What were you gonna say? There's something with an aura here and it needs to die. Oh, here, zombies. Come on. Yes. Nice. Okay, that regeneration bubble on the minions really doesn't last very long. But as the episodes progress and we get further into the game, the build slowly starts coming together. And I'm trying to let the Flame Totem and the minions do most of the work, just to see how viable that is already, because the mana bulb is empty quite often from casting. If I start casting these little fellas, these skulls, mana is gonna drain even faster. Could of course just start hammering on the enemies. I'm thinking it might be useful to equip Fortify, the pretty strong melee attack that I think it's for 8 seconds that you take 20% less damage. That would be a nice addition to this build, I think, to make it even tankier. So then my role will change from trying to avoid enemies to more or less just stand in the middle and knowingly take the damage. And yeah, that's where part of my uncertainty lies, because in this game, if you don't have to take damage, you often don't want to take the damage, because there's a lot of risk and the reward. That was a mistake. Things in this game are dangerous. If you don't have to stay go toe to toe with things, then it might be better not to. Though it leads to less testing of your tank in less critical situations. But on the other hand, most of the time the boss fights are so much more extreme than the simple fights that I'm not sure if you can actually gauge the strength of your tank anyway. Going dual totem might also be an interesting way for this build, since all I'm doing is casting and summoning. And even this, it's like heat-seeking missiles, but it's still a summon. So going dual totem with this fella might not be a bad idea either, because there's a lot of interesting boosts to totems as well in that line, and you increase your damage by a lot. And then I could actually have two different flame totems, I'm thinking. One spec'd for group damage and one spec'd for high single target damage. So the multi-strike could have a culling strike on it, for example, just to put down the Promethean fire hose on everything and just burn them to ashes. And if there's bosses in there that really don't want to die, and a single burst flame totem with maybe just huge increases to single target damage and no utility whatsoever. That might be an interesting trade-off. And you can cast 2 copies of one, you can mix them. Alternatively, there's always the tried and true spell totem with skeletons on it. And of course, I'm talking about the Raging Spirits as an active skill, but summoning skeletons, it's in effect you're also summoning living fireballs with that, since they live so shortly. Come on, zombies, really, you are allowed to attack. There's no shame in it, just spiders. Situations like this where you're trying to control 2 groups of enemies, dual totems will really shine as well. And I think I'm running low on minion health. Let's resummon them. Ah, there's a yellow in here. Hello, Agony Lash. Here. I'll hit you with my rhythm stick. So, positioning wise, putting it in the middle of the room might not even be the best of ideas, since it has to divide. If all the enemies are to one side, it's probably better like this, because then just fire hose over them. I'm wondering if faster projectiles is going to make the arcs extend, the fire extend further. That would be neat, since in essence it's already piercing damage. At least it seems to be piercing damage. Then you can just hit more enemies. One skill point. So we see, there's a nice jewel socket over here. That's only 2 points to get, and it will net 3 whole points of mana regen. And 10% extra elemental damage, which is what the totem seems to be doing. So that's good as well. There's just a standard filer. What's the level here? 18. Okay, so I'm still 5 levels overpowered. Given the fact that the monsters are not insta-melting, I'm lacking in the damage department. That's one thing that I kind of know for sure now. What's the damage that we lose from this one? 25%. So, for a second take it out. It's 105 DPS. Put it back in. 77 DPS. So, put this one back. Push. This, for now, this might actually be the better choice. Once I'm seriously starting to out-damage the enemies, lesser multiple projectiles might be a better solution. Let's see. Let's level this one. It's got a spare sword. That's a nice thing about this game. You can just level gems that you're not actually using. Even though with the shop system that's less of a requirement. But you can't get all the gems for all the characters, so sometimes you have to.
My mana is spent.
My mana is spent. Wish. Now this arc already covers multiple enemies if they're standing close enough together. So smart turret positioning might be useful as well. Ooh, look, it's a ghost. Yes, you ghost, be touched. Tormented spot, yeah, you. Just gonna run after you and then, no. Too bad. I tried. This build really is bad, it's a ghostbuster. There's blues here. Of course, now I notice. Let's see. Ooh. Still pack quite a punch when hitting stuff. Let's see. Put it to the side. Burst through. Door opening, always nice as well. Put the zombies in. This is where the skeletons will shine. If we just put down skeletons, then we can just blast fire over them, but use the skeletons to pin down enemies. Sapphire ring, always useful. We found the place we're looking for. I'll just help. Two hitting spiders, that's not quite bad. I think that's better than what the zombies are doing. There are no zombies, that's even better. Okay. Golden hat. Okay. Right, there's no actual reason to stay here. Let's move out. Let's see. Hello, Hina. Ta-da. See, this is not the one. This is the one. 3 mana, 10 extra elemental damage. This is nice as well if you're building a tank that doesn't have a lot of armor. And physical damage is decent, but I already have a nice amount of armor, so it's not going to help as much. So, Fell Shrine rewards. 2 passive respects. Okay. let's see. Temporarily take something out. This one was not. Let's refund passive. Refund that passive. Then we can take this one, apply it, and then look for. Let's see, inventory. You. There. Can we see what our regen is before? Mana regen per second 3.4. Ooh. This is going to be a major buff. 7, so that's 3.6 that we got, so that's 20% bonus that's currently in effect. That's this is hefty. This changes everything.
What troubles you bring now?
As usual, just identify and sell the rares, get rid of all the other crap. Not enough sockets, I don't want them. This is what I got, so we can also get rid of it.
Return.
Click, 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 click. Okay, so that leaves us with one more quest, the root of the problem. So let's head over to wetlands. Do we actually have something for the green? Yeah, we can just put Conic Strike back, of course. So then at least we're doing something useful. Over there. We jump over to the wetlands, which has an exit straight into the cave. I should have touched this one because that cleans up the inventory so nicely. Let's cause a little darkness. And what does this one do? Shiver Tempest. Ooh, extra cold temperatures hits. You always freeze. That's gotta synergize pretty well with the Herald of Ash. Let's see, okay, so they always freeze. Less of a fan, honestly. Yeah. We roasted. Didn't I kill that one already? You. Yes. Okay. Let's go look. It's level 20, so still over leveled. Makes it easy to proceed. I think that's the one of the things in Path of Exile. You can control difficulty to a certain degree by over leveling a bit. Access to slightly better stats, slightly better gear. I think to hit calculations might be affected by that, but I'm not 100% sure. But it always feels good if you are a couple levels above the enemies. In terms of survivability. I mean, if you're playing a softcore, you can just rush through. And then it's all about just efficiency. In hardcore you never get a second chance, so erring on the side of caution and being slightly over level, not a bad idea. The game auto balances anyway, because you get less experience for killing monsters that are too far below you. Which is also intentionally why when I was just testing out my changed in skill lineup, I went to a lower level area. You get some loot from it. Oh, that one's gonna explode. Just get low.
Go with God.
Like that. So I chose to go to a lower level area, so you can hardly gain any XP. I think a full area maybe got 1 or 2 bubbles. But you still get the loot, which is good. And you get to test your build, see how things interact, and try to extrapolate from what you're seeing. I have to admit, the fire turret is holding up pretty darn well. Just here. We got a door into nothing. Frozen ghost. No, not back into the area where I came from. Here, so, yes, go. Go. This is a complete and utter dead end. Hey, there's a door here. Come on. I feel ghosts have reached the point where they're just frustrating and taunting rather than actually a nice addition to the game. But as I said, it might be part of this build. But they might as well just not be in there. You, I have a turret. And some coffee. I'm definitely noticing the effect of the jewel. I'm not hitting the mana potion as often as I normally would. Is this level bound? It's level bound now. Sweet. Because that's the main benefit of leveling. You get access to higher skill levels in your gems. And the melee weapons, they are usually balanced by the level of items you have and how good the base item is. But spells, most of the time, they're purely level based. So getting access to higher levels means increasing your DPS. Oh, there was a ghost here. How exciting. I don't know, with other builds the ghosts felt more interesting. But most of the time I tend to encounter ghosts when there's hardly any enemies around, so they're kind of pointless then. Let's do this. I wonder, maybe the ghosts should have a similar spawn mechanic as what the treasure goblins have in Diablo 3. Because 9 times out of 10, maybe even all the time, if you see a treasure goblin, the treasure goblin is usually situated between the entrance and the exit, so you will encounter that one. And within a screen after the treasure goblin, there will be a pack of blues or yellows, or even a purple named one. So there will be a boss pack after it, radiating outwards from the entrance. So there the challenge is, you don't want to fight the treasure goblin at the same time as the boss pack, because you know you're focusing all your single target damage on the goblin in order to kill it and get loot. But at the same time, if you don't really have a lot of opportunities to drive it, so to say, if you are going to face it head first, chances are very large that you will drive the treasure goblin back into the pack of blues, and then you get creative situations, to put it that way. Maybe they should do a similar thing here as well, because a lot of these levels are mazy, but even in the level design. Yeah, I came in here. You got so this means you got bottlenecks. You come in here, you go through this room, you have to go through this corridor to get further into the level. Here you can wander around a bit, but once again, you have to go through this corridor to get further into the level. So there's choke points. So if they would make the spawning of the ghosts so that they would use the choke points better. Maybe spawn a ghost in here, have this door always be open and have a blue spawn in here. Or maybe just have a ghost here and a blue back there. But have the potential for optimal use of the ghosts be more generated into the maps. So rather than being an exercise in frustration and disappointment and eventually just apathy. It's like ghost, yeah, don't care, not gonna break anyway. That the level design actually enhances how they work. Because ghosts are basically anti-touchy goblins. You want to chase them into monster packs, but with goblins you're happy if you find ghosts without monsters. Here you're disappointed if you get that. And it's if you have choice in how you approach things, that's one thing. But if there's a game mechanic that you can't use and you have no choice in the matter, that's even worse. Let's get our armor back, and then we move up the chain to get more minions. As this was going to be a minion monster at some point. So yeah, it was a bit of analysis / venting frustration on ghost design for a build that's not able to catch them in levels that never seem to have things that ghosts can possess. Clarity, extra mana regen. How much energy does that one suck up? It reserves 34. I would probably plop it in somewhere if I actually had a blue socket. It's 34 I can take. That's less than 20%, isn't it? Aha, we have to be here. We broke it.
I beg of you, God, help me to lead this one back into the light.
Let's resummon some of the zombies. This looks like an exit. Yeah. And then we need a waypoint. Ah yeah, Devourers. Everybody's favorite annoyance. Let's see, it's elemental resistance order. Oh well, we can pierce it, doesn't matter. Warhammer. Let's see, level 24. It's 28 when the 4 sockets start dropping now, isn't it? No, that's monster level 28, so that's not gonna be until Act 3. There we are, almost. Okay. That was definitely a damage boost for the Flame Totem. Holy moly. That's 142. I think it was 100 before. That's 40% damage on top. That's pretty nice for just leveling up. How much gold is in here? 2 to 3 points. That's not a lot. So basically this is not gonna trigger some ever. So that does mean I can free up an entire chain. And maybe put the skeletons in. For now. So I think I'm gonna do that. Look for the skeleton gem. Socket those. And we're losing
My mana is spent.
Because then we have a lot of extra bodies on the floor. We can use them to scout things. We can use them to pin enemies down while the zombies just scramble over there. And there's the waypoint. Excellent. So, that's a good time. It's a little longer than I would have liked, 30 minutes for the episode. But we did do a lot. We caused the darkness, we got a nice gem. And we are now within basically one episode, I think, of fighting the boss. So probably gonna do some more shopping in between to see if I can get my resists up. Because currently our tank looks like 45% fire resist, 56 cold, 53 lightning. Ideally, I want to see this in the 65 to 75 range. If I get that, I'm happy. Mana regen is good. 550 life, a bit of energy shield. Probably want some more energy shields. Armor, 45% reduction is nice. 22% evasion. This is slowly becoming a very decent tanky character with just multiple types of tanks stacked on top of each other. I like it. And the damage is coming along as well. Oh wow, so it's 127, that's without Herald of Ash. So Herald of Ash adds 15 points of damage per second. 15 points. Okay. That's not a lot, to be honest. That's 10%. Could probably get more out of if we use the sockets for skeletons. So I'm gonna experiment with that a little bit, and you'll hear the results in the next episode. Might even just show it, but things like that I try to keep them out of the episodes to just keep this more focused on just actual gameplay rather than experimentation. So with that, I'm gonna stop rambling and thank you very much for watching. See you next time. Bye bye.